So thank you very much. Then welcome to to the next session here, to the second one in this track. I'm following Christian Decker. Thank you very much for your session and yeah, welcome. My name is Raphael Koellner. I'm living and I'm presenting now from Germany, Cologne, but I'm also the CEO of a Microsoft partner. And on the other side, more than 50%, I'm the concern DPO of a car builder company with yeah, more than 3 plants in Canada too. So I have also colleagues and friends in Canada. So I'm very happy to be here the first time. And let's talk. And I have also created some demos about Microsoft Teams and sensitivity labeling. This is one of my favorite topics, and I like to talk about it, especially in the combination with AI and Copilot and all of these things. My idea is to bring basics and innovation together. And let's talk and see a little bit what Microsoft Purview and Teams and sensitive labeling can do together. But at first, every time for community conference, thank you very much to the sponsors here. Without sponsors, no conference is possible. So thank you very, very much to the sponsoring and sponsorship for this Cloud Canadian Summit. And why I'm here and who I am. My name is Raphael Koellner. You see here, I'm MVP and Microsoft Regional Director. And I will translate it also in English, and since 2 months, I starting the Compliance Ranger part so that we can talk a little bit more about the compliance part, because I'm not a typical IT guy. I study law and combining the law and IT since now 25 years. And talking with national and international companies. So like in my introduction, also with more than 15 companies who based in Canada, and also me as a concerned DPO of a car builder who's based also in Canada. I'm very happy to talk now with you about real life stuff. So we will talk a little bit about theoretical part but then I prepared a little bit of demo, and we will talk about daily practice. That's my daily practice and the daily practice of my colleagues, also of my friends in the plants in Canada. So let's start a little bit. What we want to do today, we have a very short introduction, why we need this, why we need to talk about like governance and security. Hopefully you know the most of this, and then we go a little bit deeper into Microsoft Purview, Microsoft Teams and sensitivity labeling. What are the basics and what is possible also when we have Microsoft Teams Premium as an add-on. And then we will talk in a best practice and demo part. I will show you a little bit how we are handling all of these without buying an add-in or a third-party tool. So what is, and also a little bit about what is coming, because hopefully some of you know my face. I'm also presenting on Ignite, Build, Ignite the Tour, and I'm in the last 10 years, I'm at the Microsoft Purview booth at Build and Ignite. So I'm working very deeply with the product group together, and also with the Microsoft Teams team and the team who is creating the channels and the new channels architecture, and the new SharePoint sensitivity part. So we'll learn a little bit also of the future today, which can I offer and which can I talk about, because these are not NDA stuff. So let's start with a little bit of introduction. The sentence you every time knows, Microsoft Teams is the hub for collaboration. Yes, it's the hub for collaboration. It's the hub for conferences. It's one of the main apps every one of us are using today. And I'm looking a little bit of numbers, how important Microsoft Teams is for daily work. And I looked a little bit, I found numbers from 2019 from Microsoft, the Microsoft blog, more than 13 million people, active daily user using Microsoft Teams. Then 2023, I see a Microsoft blog post with 300 million users, so 2 years ago. And now 2025, out of my perspective, I would count we have more around 400 million users daily using Microsoft Teams. So we have a huge crowd and also huge companies, and the most of the companies are using Microsoft Teams instead of, for example, Slack or WebEx or Zoom. So Teams and Zoom, also out of my perspective, are the most used messenger app in this part. But Microsoft Teams is the only one who brings all together. And this makes also a challenge to all of us and also to the companies and also to me as a data privacy officer and compliance officer to handle all of these, to handle the user, the guests, handling the files, handling the sharing and all of these. So we will talk about these things, and we will talk also about a little bit fun stuff, because yes, we are using Microsoft Teams for meetings like this one. We using this for chat. And this is also a good hint. When I see the chat, you can ask questions. Use the chat, please. I will have the chat open here. You see it here, open here on my second screen. So please use the chat for questions where if you want. So we have the chat, group chats. We have chats in our Teams as channel chats. And also we have meetings from webinars to live events to typical daily meetings like this one. And we work together with files, with externals and internal guys together on files, on videos. We creating with AI new stuff, so everything great, and also handling tasks, you know, about Microsoft To Do, planner things and all of these. And we have some third-party tools like add-ons we can add, and we have fun stuff. And yes, what is the fun stuff also in Microsoft Teams? For example, you have the Maybelline in Jade. It's a cosmetic company. They created a filter for Microsoft Teams. No, I don't use it now, but it's possible. But in our tenant, it's not allowed to use this one. But it's also possible here to add some fun stuff to Microsoft Teams. And I see also some gaming apps in the Microsoft Teams store. So very funny. From filter to gaming apps, so we have a lot of functionality in Microsoft Teams. We need to talk about it, and the most question one of my customer and also one of my CIOs I'm talking with, they ask me, why do we need security and governance for Microsoft Teams? We have Microsoft Teams with the default configuration. Everything is fine. Everyone can use it, and why we need to talk about it, and why we need to invest money and time to do this. And 2 years later, I talked to a guy who asked me why we don't need it. We implement Microsoft Teams while the pandemic. Everything is running and everything is fine. And then we have to look a little bit into the monitoring, and we see we had an issue. And one of these issues, yes, are us, we, the people, the user of Microsoft Teams. And mostly we are the people who love Microsoft Teams, who use Microsoft Teams, and we are also the problem of Microsoft Teams and administrating and using Microsoft Teams. Because only one or two examples. For example, after the pandemic, we said, okay, we don't have any governments implementing. We have the basement configuration, basement of security of Microsoft Teams. For example, when we have this Teams meeting, you see, and I'll bring it here, you see here we have a small shield, which means in English here, it's encrypted. So we have typical encryption for the Teams meeting. So this is default on, we can't switch it off. So that's fine. But what the people are doing with Microsoft Teams, we found, for example, people who creating teams. So it's not restricted. Everyone can create teams, who create teams for their family, or who create teams for their private activities, like their soccer club, like their what I see also, soccer club, family teams. I see private teams like fun stuff, and they invited third-party people like their family or like their friends also to the teams of the company. And we found in one of these companies 60% teams which are private and only 40% teams which are company owned, which are used for company stuff. So yes, we are also the issue of using Microsoft Teams. And when we look a little bit deeper after pandemic, that was really great because a lot of people and a lot of company deploying Microsoft Teams very fast. And out of this part that we are the people, we are using Microsoft Teams, and we are using Microsoft Teams when we are allowed, and when we can use it, we use it on the wrong way, out of a company perspective. And so I put my 4 main points in it. The first thing is balance between teams, channels, teams, and users. So what we see after the last years, when the team's creation is not restricted or we don't have any rules how to handle Microsoft Teams, channels, and chats, we see a lot of chats, we see a lot of teams, which are not usage anymore. So there are a lot of teams created very fast, and yeah. In this company, for example, we found 70% of teams that are not in use. So only 30% are in use. So 70% are not in use. So the balance between teams and teams that are there and not in use and teams in use are in a misbalance. And on the other side, you think, and that was the talk also to the CIO of this company, yeah, then we have teams that are not in use. Fine, what is the issue? What is the issue of teams that are not in use? It's very simple. These teams are not in use, cost money, because the storage we have to pay. When we don't have enough storage, we have to pay for every gigabyte we are storing in the SharePoint site. Second one, and this is the cybersecurity part, every team which is not in use, some people maybe can, when it's possible, and when they had for example, an incident that someone phishing identities or like this, can join these teams and can add other people, so that we don't have the right control. Who has access to our information? Who has access to our tenant information? Who is in the teams? And all of this. So we have also, from a governance perspective to a cybersecurity perspective, we are in trouble, and we had trouble because also we see that we have some cybersecurity risk in the last years, and more that people sending spam mails and spam messages to channels with a channel email, or sending spam messages to your Teams chat. And this is also, apart from governance to security, that can be in trouble. And also there, it was a huge trouble part. And then we are missing the monitoring, and this is the fourth part, the monitoring part. So we don't know what happened. And this is, for me, out of a compliance perspective, the compliance manager, data privacy officer, the information security officer, we all want to know what happened. Where are our data are shared? Who has access to our data? Which data are in our teams? Which data are stored? So, for example, in these private teams, we found everything. Videos, music, everything like a bad platform for exchanging and change and switching off from black dark content and everything. We found everything in these teams, so we deleted it and talked to the guys and to the employees that that's not allowed and everything. So we need monitoring. And the last part, this is the new, starting with AI, data security. It's a new name for putting information security together. Data security as a part of everything what we stored in Microsoft Teams, everything. Also here in our meetings, when we activate Microsoft Copilot for 365 and everything is a part of AI. It's usage to create results of a prompt and everything. So everything is an index, it has access, AI has access, and all of these parts. So it's very easy. It's easier today with AI to get information out of the tenant. Before, hope you remember, it was Delph, and everyone said, "Oh, we need to delete, cut off Delph, because Delph and also the Microsoft Search show so much old files and so show us that we have." data in it which is not allowed to put into a company tenant, for example. So yes, at the end, the people, the external people, the hijackers, the black kids who try to come into the tenants, also the all of the hacking industry, that are also people. So we are the challenge also, and so at the end we need a little bit of security and governance to control our team's usage. And when I talk to this company, and this is one of my good examples, it was a company also from Canada, and a retailer company here from Europe, not in Germany, but from Europe. We talked about what we can do now, what we can do to implement the security and governance Microsoft Teams, and which is one of our main tools we can use. And we found two ones which are cheap and which we can do directly. And the first one is measure. It's not a technical one. It's more a rule. So we prohibition of action and usage. So we give a guideline and said it's not allowed to upload the newest cinema movie to Microsoft Teams. So that was very fast. But at the end, it not works because the people do what they want. The second one, we deactivate features. But what we do now is we deactivate features like Teams webinars. At the end, now we are in trouble because when we deactivate Teams webinars for the whole tenant and for everyone, because with Teams webinars, they are streaming illegal the new cinema movie to their friends. And yes, I saw this. Then a lot of use cases are not possible anymore with Microsoft Teams. For example, a company webinar for customers. So that I hope you see these old tools, symbols. So these are all tools. This is only, for example, this provision is only a supporting part. So on the other side, we are looking for Microsoft tools, and this is PureView and Defender. These are included and often included and fully included in the Microsoft 365 E5 part. And we have third-party tools. So after the pandemic, I see more and more companies, for example, also, all 11point, for example, from Europe, Solution to Share, also Europe and US Rancor, and much more tools. They are creating governance, or more governance than security, but governance tools for Microsoft Teams. For example, handling the process of creating teams. And also a lot of companies starting, and also I see it today, to handle with Microsoft tools, without PureView, the creation of Microsoft Teams. For example, they use forms or a SharePoint list. The people can say, I need a team for this reason, and the IT is creating the team. So, but yeah, this is a lot of work for the IT guys. And for one of these companies who's using it today, I'm talking last week, and I show them sensitive information protection and sensitive labeling, and said, oh, good, we use the labels and the user can do it for their own, and I give them the information who and which team in which configuration we can use. And that's easier. We don't need the IT. We don't need a third-party tool. We can use information protection or sensitive labeling to use this. Yes, we can. So on the other side, it is cool that we have these third-party tools. For some companies, this is a valid solution, but I will talk a little bit later about it. So when we have a look to this, we have these tools to handle Microsoft Teams. And but later, let's start now. I'm switching in my slides a little bit when we are talking about third-party tools. I put some of the pros and cons for third-party tools here on the list. The pros are mostly, for example, when we use 8-point governance for Microsoft Teams or the competitors in the market, we see the user has a better experience. For example, they see in which part of the timeline of the creation the team is, which approval, for example, to creating this team we need to wait for which approval from which department or role. On the other side, The governance process is customizable in these tools often, so we can put a little bit of the company customizability in this part. We have additional support, so we have support from these third-party companies, and we had often a better reporting. These are the four main points would I see a pro to use a third-party tool for governance and security, or more governance tool here in Microsoft Teams. And the cons, so the negative part is the first thing, I have to pay for it, starting from, I said, 50 cents to $5, $6, $8 per month per user. And on the other side, yeah, I have to administrate and handling the third-party tool too. And the main part why a lot of companies don't decide to add a third-party tool at the budget. And my first point is we have the same run of functionality. So at the end, the third-party tools can only use via Microsoft Graph, or often via Microsoft Graph, and a little bit PowerShell, but mostly via Microsoft Graph, the same functionality what Microsoft has. You can see hopefully that the same range, the same uses, the same tools. We will have a little bit a look at these a little bit later. So yeah, so these are the challenges. These are the typical discussion using a third-party tool or not. But now, and the meeting is called sensitivity label. Let's have a look into PureView and what we get when we have a Microsoft 365 E5 licensing, or what we have when we have the information and governance add-on for our users. And let's see a little bit what Microsoft Teams and PureView does and what we can. And yes, I have 3 slides for Microsoft. These are our slides from Build some weeks ago, and from Ignite, which the Microsoft PureView team creates, and creates a little bit with me also. We see here the new adaptive protection part of Microsoft, also of Microsoft 365, but we can handle these. We can handle these for Microsoft Teams. So we have DLP for data loss prevention for every file who's moving, we can control. We have information protection for governance and file security, so data security and governance. And we have insider risk and communication compliance, where we can handle also what happened in real time, what happened when someone is, for example, downloading files from a SharePoint site, and all of these, and these cycle adaptive protection with these 3 tools. These are the best part which we can use to protect and govern Microsoft Teams here in this part. And I like the next slide. Hopefully you know this slide. I like this very much. This is a newest version of this. You see what we can do here and what we can handle. And hopefully all of you is labeling and classifying your content, like your files and also your meetings. So you see here, and let me switch to the laser pointer here, sensitive labeling. And that's why also the session is the session title of this. Sensitive labeling is the main part of it. Yes, you have to classify your data. You don't need to encrypt everything. So public is often a label without encryption. General, since if you asked me 2 months ago, I would say general is also labeled without encryption. Then we have confidential, strictly confidential labels with encryption. But with the announcement from last Monday and the issues with AI, so that we need to protect our information also in Microsoft Teams meetings before third-party AI and the loss of data, more and more companies starting to put general also with RMS encryption, so create basement label with RMS encryption. And who's the company who start with this? Microsoft. Microsoft default label since 4 months. The IT guys from Microsoft told me on the MVP Summit, they're using the general channel with encryption. So every file at Microsoft is encrypted when it's not public. So that is also a challenge, also for Microsoft and working with Microsoft. For example, yesterday evening, a Microsoft guy wanted to give me a file. It was not possible because the file was encrypted, and he had to label it to another label, and then to share me the file, and it was not possible to share the file via OneDrive and sharing, because it was not allowed to share a file outside of Microsoft. And what we do at the end, and this is the current only full supported sharing and working together scenario at Microsoft itself, it's Microsoft Teams. We create a team, and he invited me, and he uploaded the file to the team, label the file to a Microsoft label, which is also possible to use with external, and then I can go into the file, see the file, and get, for example, this new slide for you today, to show you the slide and give you this slide here. This is not under NDA, this is an official one, but for Microsoft, everything is encrypted. This is because the usage and the prevention of use with Copilot and AI for information for tools. So sensitive labeling, and what I like is, since some weeks it is possible to use labels for email and files, or you can split for email and files with different labels. You have labels for containers for your team. I will show you in the demo a little bit later. And you have also labels for team meetings, like this one. And you have labels for structured data. You see it here for databases like SQL Server, S3, also SAP, and with sensitive labeling and Defender, you have policies that you also can protect AI tools and the other tools like Google Workplace, Cisco, Zoom, Dropbox, and all of these parts when you share files from Microsoft Teams to another part. So sensitive labeling is the main part. And yeah, the Microsoft Account Manager and the Microsoft guys also starting 1.5 years ago with Microsoft Copilot announcement to bring sensitive labeling to the customers. Before, it was only security in a part of Defender. The users need Defender, they need the Defender add-on. With Microsoft Business, you can add the E5 Defender add-on part. But now, since 1.5 years, also Microsoft, like me and Christian, my other friends from Canada, where we make a podcast some weeks ago, we say to every company, you have to classify your files, your meetings, your container. Only sensitive labeling helps you. And a very good hint that sensitive labeling helps you to protect your data, to protect Microsoft Teams and the Microsoft Teams workload is one important part. When out of the last night, because since today in public preview is that sensitive labeling, putting on an email, is also protect emails for usage with Microsoft Copilot. So you can protect your Teams invitation when you label it with a file and DLP policy together, that no Copilot, other AI tools you have to encrypt, but with encryption it's also possible that no AI tool can look into your meeting invite and don't have access to your meetings. And the DLP policy, which are working for these, is since today in public preview. So please implement DLP with sensitive labeling every time together. I will show you a little bit in a couple of minutes how I do this and how we do this in a little bit of best practice part, how I combined it and how we use sensitive labels to protect this. And before we go into the demo, I create a little bit of a summarization slide of these. So I think the next 30 minutes you need to see a little bit more. So when we put this together, we have the governance part, the data security part, and the regulations. So on the governance part, we can handle questions like who can create a team, also who can join a team, who can join a channel, who can join a chat, also who can join meetings. So it is possible that you, external people, can join this meeting. We can handle this with a label. Also, who can create which channel? How is the team created? Is it a public team? Is it a private team? We have the monitoring with preview audit logs you see here. We have the life cycle of the team with the retention label part. So we have the part that when a team is not used, we can delete it, and we can delete it automatically in combination, and also for alone that you said, okay, let's delete a team after 3 years because we don't need it, and we reduce the risk of data leaks and reduce the risk that we have to pay more money at the end. Then we have the data security part. And the data security part is this information protection. That's why I want to use my pen. It's information protection and DLP. Oh, not writing with my mouse is not so good, but you see it. You have access management to meetings, to teams, to files. You have access management for Copilot, which part of Microsoft Teams Copilot have access to. And you have the Teams meeting management. So, for example, for this webinar that I don't see you, for example, here, I share it with you, I don't see your names. This is the configuration of Microsoft Teams you can handle with the Microsoft sensitivity label. So meeting security is a very huge part. And when you have Microsoft Teams Premium, and I will show you the differences in a couple of minutes, in my demo, you see that you can create also templates with sensitive label for typical meeting situations. For example, the guys here, the organizer, can create a template for the cloud summit in Canada. So this is a template, and the template, when the label is put on the meeting, the configuration automatically runs out, and the configuration see automatically that I don't see your names. So that's one part. Or the meeting is automatically encrypted, or the meeting is automatically that you don't allow to use Copilot, or is not allowed to record the meeting. And the last thing, that is the data flow part, which I bring you a little bit of the information with Copilot. I think it's interesting for the most part, and also that's not allowed to share outside, to bring not known guests into your teams, and all of these. These are every time parts of sensitivity labeling, of labeling and container labeling and meeting labeling. These three parts are the most for data security. And the last one, this is the regulatory part. Besides sensitivity labeling, we have the compliance center and the compliance audit checks and tests we can use. There are also some for Canada also in it, and also some ISO certifications. And I'm missing TSACs for the car builder companies. It's not a part, but hopefully in the future, so that you can see, okay, what you need to use and need to create to protect also Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365, and also every time apart from Microsoft Teams to protect Microsoft Teams to get, for example, an ISO certification or a TSAC certification for car builder that you use, so you can be compliant for regulation. And this is one of my main parts. We want to be compliant in a data privacy way. For example, also the Canadian plans need to be compliant to the European plan, so that we can transfer personal data, because Koellner is out of a data perspective, out of data privacy view. It's a membership company. It's a third protected company. It's a membership company like Europe, so we can transfer all of our data and everything. Once we don't do some more, because the data privacy level is the same in Europe and Canada. And for data security, to do this, which data transfer is allowed, we use sensitive labeling, and we can monitor it, who try to do something, and all of this. So back here, and let's switch to the demo part, that you can see some more what I'm talking about. This is a little bit, I love a little bit more than bring you more the theoretical part here. You see here, and I will start the demonstration in my test tenant. This is my test tenant, and I show you a little bit later my account of my productive tenants. You'll see the differences. I have opened it here also, but let's start with here. So we have Microsoft Teams here, and this is a typical team For example, I go here and use this team. I create, so hello, Canada, my lovely HR department. I put it here and and publish it here. So we have a team here, human resources. So the HR department has a team here. And do you see something of sensitive labeling here? Look a little bit. You see here, I'm using sensitive labeling. Anyone see it on my screen? On the right side above? Yes, here. Go a little bit bigger here. I scroll Teams Confidential. Uses labeling a team lifecycle and confidential. So I created a sensitivity container label, which called Teams Confidential for all teams, which has confidential information in the team. So HR department, data privacy department, compliance department, accounting. These teams are created as confidential teams. And with this confidential label, some functionality comes with a label. So for example, I can decide with the label, with putting the label on the team, who has access to the team. So is it allowed to add guests? And this is very important, to add guests. If you have guests in the team, then you put the label on the team, and this is a little misunderstanding from Microsoft, but I wish it, and the team is working on it. When you have guests in your team and you put this label on the team, that's not allowed guests in the team, the guests still are in the team, so they don't kick out. So the kick out of the team, it's a manual part. That is a thing that third party like AvePod can do, but Microsoft in default not. But it's not allowed to new guests in the team. And also with confidential team, and this is one of my favorite parts, and this is why I go to Azure portal.azure.com. Let's switch to Azure. It is possible to add to this container label of a Microsoft team conditional access. This is possible since, I would say, 3.5 years. And what I need to do is I need to go to I want to go to wait. Conditional. No. Marginal enter access. Yeah, here we have it. To go to conditional access. That's why I use it often. You can go via Azure or via Microsoft 365 Entra Portal. I go often here via Azure, and I go to the policies. And you see here, for example, guests, they are Teams MFA policy. And this policy for me is when for guests and to using this team, this HR team, I want that all of these people needs MFA to join the team. So when they want to join the team and want to open the team, they need MFA. And also you can put more information like this, like for example, only special users are allowed. So I have guests and external. Also, you can add conditions. For example, user. This is my demo tent. In my productive, I have here users who are in high risk and medium risk is not allowed to go into the HR team. And who is this possible? All of this configuration is combined to this container label. And how it works is very easy. Here is a grant and typical process. And how this is possible? This is possible because we create a small tag in the conditional access policies, like the authentication context here, the authentication context. And this is a little tag you see here, SharePoint for high confidential, SharePoint secure, UK Indian, for example. This is only authentication context is only a tag. And this tag I use in the configuration of the container label, and I use here to put the policy to this label. So I have a policy, for example, SharePoint Secure or SharePoint High Secure or the teams what I showed you before. I add this tag with a little bit of description, for example, here, bring your own device label. And this I put in the configuration of the label, the container label, and I can show you how I do this. I go to the labeling part, sensitivity labeling. I go to the labels. I need a label. I need a container label. And you see it here when I create it, and I use here my container label. You see here files and other, files and mails, and other data sets, and you see here sites and groups. This is the label for teams. And when I go here, I create this as a label using a container. For this, it's only for groups and sites. So for Microsoft Teams, you see here protected Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Teams groups. No email, no meetings. And I see here, I go forward and I go forward and say here external users, no external users. And here, this is an interesting part. Here you see external sharing. So it's possible to share external when you put the label on the team. No, only people in your organization, no external sharing allowed for the HR team. And what I do here is Microsoft Entra conditional access to protect label SharePoint sites. So what I do here is I put the SharePoint Secure CA. This is the tag you see here. This is the same tag here, SharePoint Secure CA. Yeah, this is the same tag. I put the policy, combine the policy, and now I choose this here. And so when the user is labeling, the conditional access is combining with the label, and here the user sees directly the results. So it's not possible to have access, for example, for guests, for new guests. It's not possible to have access from a non-compliant, non-Intune managed device. It's not access from, for example, non-trusted IP address ranges. So, for example, it's not possible to have access from what I have Russia, for example. So that's also handling, and everything of this is handling while I put a label on a team. And what I like, and this is a part what is possible since now 4 years, and I'm very happy because this creation part of teams. So let's create a new team. I'm here in chats, but I want to create where yes, I want to create a new team. Where can I create here? Oh, I deactivated it here. I don't create it here. No, team test Canada Summit. And on Microsoft Ignite, with the team together, we bring this information to the crowd. It's around 4 years ago. And here you see it. This is private or public. And here private like this. And now you see here Vertraulichkeitsbezeichnung. This is a German word. This is for the sensitivity label. You see here the same sensitivity label. So when a user wants to create a team, it's allowed to create a team. So we don't say we had a process that the manager or the IT team need to approval the team's creation. We say here we have different labels for different situations in our company. For example, for HR, we use the SPO confidential, and then you see automatically this is gray. You have to use private, and then I have a channel general, for example. This is the new system, and then we say create, and then the team is creating with the container label, and directly here's the team, and directly we put this label on it. It is for the SharePoint sites, the same label for the SharePoint sites, the same label for the team, and directly we have all of these configuration with this template on the team, on the SharePoint site, and everything which is in the team. Everything, not everything, because, and this is the part why we, okay, in provisioning we need some time, but why I say not everything, because we have channel types like private channels and shared channels, which create their own SharePoint site. So we forbid to create shared channels and private channels because of these, because it's not every time very stable that the label we choose here is also the label for the private channel. So we have to talk to every user who can create private channels. For example, here in this channel, on your channel, please put the label and control that the container label is also in the private channel available. So this is not really stable. I'm talking to the team who is responsible for the channel. That was the idea, that you put a label on the team. It's the same label for all channels on all SharePoint site. It's not really stable for the private channel, because private channel, you all know from the architecture, is a new SharePoint site. So also a new SharePoint site that you can say that the owner of the team don't have access to the private or to the shared channel. So you have to control it a little bit, and have to control that the label is also on the private channel part. So we can create teams with container labels, and then we can have a look and go a little bit forward here, and we can have a look, okay, who has access to the team, who can create this. So at the end, we say we don't have to approve a process to create a team. We had sensitivity container labeled, and these are the situations the user can use. Can we provide that we don't create a family team? Yes, because all of these parts is not allowed to invite external users, these that are not B2B users. So with the Entra ID announcements in last week, you have to use B2B users to be secure and to share and work together on a secure way. So what we do now is we have a team, we have a container label, we control the access to the team, and then we need to control also, and you see here, this is a good example, need to control the files in the libraries. And a lot of people and companies come to me, and please use the chat also if you have the same wish, that we can add a container label, a default label for the libraries. So with the container label, it only controls the borders, who has access to the container. That's why I called it container label. And the other part of sensitive labeling is a label for a file. And you see here, here's no label on the file, because here's no SharePoint confidential on the file. When we look here, I can't use SharePoint confidential on the file. I can use here, for example, Pizza Secure, but I can't use the container label because it's only container label and not a label for the file. So at the end, you can go here and set, okay, let's have a look into the SharePoint side. On the SharePoint side, with the E5 licensing, auto labeling is possible. You can go to the library settings, and you see here, you can use the default label. You see here, the default label is only a label, a file label. So the wish is, and I'm discussing with Microsoft, and when you have the same wish, please use the chat so we have more people with the same wish, that we can combine a container label with a default label for all files in the container. Currently, it's split. So currently, when you put a container label on it, the user have to go, or the IT or the provisioning process has to go and choose a default label for the library, so that all files that comes new into the library will get also the we go to general, get also the same label. And yes, it needs some time. It's auto labeling. It needs 15 minutes, and we don't have so much time to wait, but it needs around to 15 minutes to auto labeling this with a container label for a new file, so I can upload a file and show it. So we have the confidential part as container, and we have the labeling part here, and we have one more container. And for this, I will create very fast. Let me check. I will create a meeting. Oh, I use my Teams, and I create here a meeting, and I will show you the creation of the meeting. Let's say a meeting, and when you see here, I put it on a slide that you can see it here. I create a new meeting and a new Teams meeting here. Oh, it's in German, but you see that's the typical one. And what I will show you here is you can tag it, for example, the date. It's a Microsoft meeting, for example. And I said here Canada, Canada. Test meeting. So, okay, and I go into the options. And in the options, you see here the Vertraulichkeitsstufe in English. It's a sensitive label. As you see here, we have, and this is my prerogative 10 for my company, for my own company. We create a public label, so external, everyone is allowed. Internal label, which brings, and I put it on, which brings encryption with us, which brings that only organizer and organizer of the meeting is allowed. which brings also, this is without end-to-end encryption, but when I switch the label, for example, to secret, made secret, yes, secret is that's not encryption. We have, okay, we created confidential with the confidential is with end-to-end encryption, and transcription is deactivated, everything. For example, also we have a watermark in the background, and we, for example, also create, like in your meeting here, that the names of the user is not possible, that the user cannot switch on the cameras, for example. All of these configuration you can configure with a container label, and this is totally cool. And let's go a little bit and show it how you can do it. And this is the last part of how you make meeting security. Now I want to create a new label. Wait, no, I click in, create a new label. Test display name, user, yeah. I want to create a meeting. Yep. And for I can create a meeting. Email, no, email must be, yeah. I want to create this and this. So for meeting, this is for Microsoft Teams meetings and schedules. I want to go with you to protect the meetings. I have a premium license. I have to go. Yeah. This is what I want to show with you. If you want to do this, you need a Microsoft Teams premium licensing. And on the other part, and this is the last part of this, go into My Tenant. I create and give me before the session the right with PIN, and I go here into My Tenant, Information Protection and Sensitive Label, and yeah, it's okay. Create a new one. Well, the description, yeah, okay. Create a new one. Yes, I want a meeting label and files. I want to protect Teams. And then you see here, now I have a Microsoft Teams premium licensing. And now you see here what I told you before, you can control and configure. Do you need watermarks? Is recording and transcription allowed? So is it allowed to use Microsoft Copilot in this part? Is it allowed to copy information, control the meeting chat? Is it off or on, for example? Who can bypass the lobby? And all of these controlling parts, and we will get more controlling parts in the future too. So this is possible when you have Microsoft Teams Premium, and you can use it. And I use it in combination with Microsoft Teams template out of the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. I combine it with the Microsoft Teams container label. So when they use a template with a container label, they get a full configured meeting with meeting security, meeting governance. So I can control what happens here. And the typical example for this, for example, for end-to-end encryption and apply end-to-end encryption. You see here when we have end-to-end encryption, there's no recording also possible. Who can present? Only everyone, and bypass the lobby. No dialing, and only no one is bypassing. Only people in my org. I have no watermarks. Meeting chat is off. And prevent copying is also preventing. What is this example of configuration, a meeting with sensitivity label with labeling? This is our configuration for, and this is the last part of my session, for which is this a configuration? This is a configuration for an interview. This is configuration for our default configuration from interview of a new employee. That we said, okay, it's allowed for a new employee that we use Microsoft Teams meetings for this interview, but it's not allowed to record the interview. It's not allowed to use Copilot for the interview. It's an end-to-end encryption interview, and we don't need a meeting chat because we have interview. We don't want to chat, so we switch the chat off. The same for meetings with your doctor, for example. We have also these templates. So we're using this Teams meeting security with sensitivity labeling together. And I will give you the hint that in the future, we will see more and more configuration parts here in this area with Microsoft Teams Premium. So And this is also a bad part because you have to buy the licensing, but more and more of these new controls also, who is using the transcription for Copilot and which transcription part for Copilot is allowed. These parts which are on the roadmap will be controlled only by Teams Premium. So for a meeting and Copilot protection and security, you need sensitivity labeling and Teams Premium for a better experience and for the best protection. So when I go back to the slides for the last minutes and want to, no, this is the wrong part. These are my slides. We go here back to this one. You see a little bit in the demonstration. What do you need? What do you can do? How you can handle who is joining the team, who can create. Yes, you can say also, I want to create a family team. That's not part of the sensitivity label, so it's not possible to do this. And with adding this DLP, this is a new session, you can bring all of these parts together. And when you have, for example, also, and this is Copilot prevention and third-party AI prevention, when you have the last part, what I show you, encrypt end-to-end encryption of the meeting, then also it's not and controlling the lobby, so only internal. This is our default internal meeting setup. So we control that no third-party AI can join the meeting. So for example, Read AI can't join our meetings because it's fully encrypted and it's not allowed for external to join the meeting. And also when I forward the mail, it's not possible. So at the end, I would say, please use sensitivity labeling with Microsoft Teams. If you have a Teams Premium licensing, you have some more like Teams meeting and webinar controls. But at the end, please use Microsoft Teams with sensitive labeling together. And I say thank you. If you want to discuss and see more, please use Compliance Rangers or compliancerangers.de. I will translate it also in English in the next 2 weeks, so that we have all the information in English. If you have any ideas and everything for team security, please send me an email, use my contact address, use Google Me, use LinkedIn, use my Teams contact. You see also, and yeah, let's talk about what we can do better and what we can do better in combination with sensitive labeling. I will bring it directly into the product group. And with this part, thank you to the organizer team, and hopefully the organizer team is now here. I will introduce the new session, and the next speaker is here.